Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Wednesday night, February the 18th. Hope you had a great day. Happy to have you guys in with us. It's a nice thing when you get into the football offseason and you actually have football stuff to talk about. Now, this isn't necessarily football on the field, but it's as close as we're going to get for some time. So any media availability, any press conference, the combine coming up, free agency, all these things to just wet our beaks a little bit ahead of the upcoming football season, which is still months and months away. Something to get Titans fans excited today was the press conferences of Gus Bradley as defensive coordinator and then Brian Daboll as offensive coordinator. And I thought both, winning the press conference, how important it actually is. I would argue that some of the goofiest press conferences of all time have resulted in some of the best coaches, coordinators, or otherwise. So you try not to assign too much value to the press conference. But what my most obvious takeaway was that these two are very comfortable in front of the media, going to be very diligent in how they go about their jobs as two former head coaches themselves, and who are the right kind of support system in place. We'll see what happens with the offense and the defense, respectively, but they are the kind of support system in place you would want for a previously failed head coach like Robert Saleh, and technically all three of them failed as head coaches, but as a previously failed head coach like Robert Saleh with a bunch of different things that he needed to clean up from his first endeavor as the head coach of the Jets, these two are a good combination of people to surround him with to try and put him, Saleh, in the best possible position to succeed. Now, Daboll is who we're going to talk about specifically tonight. Gus Bradley is less important because he will not be calling plays, though his function as an advisor to Robert Saleh will have an importance unto itself. But the thing that, is most pressing right now is Cam Ward, Titans offense. How's Daboll going to fix it? Especially given how much Daboll, as head coach of the Giants, wanted to draft Cam Ward. That was brought up several times today, as you will hear momentarily from this press conference. So we'll dive into both of them together. We'll talk about who has the harder job between the two of them on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Share the show around wherever you are hanging out with us. It's always our great pleasure to spend time with you. It's always fun for us to see new faces. You can jump in as you like. Nando on YouTube, where you can like the video, says, you can tell he dealt with New York media. He doesn't take shit. We weren't giving him a bunch of shit today. I think, yes, he is going to be. So did Saleh, right? And Saleh didn't do well with it necessarily, right? You can go back and look at some of Robert Saleh's press conference moments in New York. They're not necessarily glowing. And I'm sure Daboll had moments as well where New York media is the toughest of any of the 32 NFL media markets, or I guess 30 NFL media markets, given that New York has two teams. But he's very comfortable dealing with a full press conference room. He's very comfortable up in front of people, delivering a message, getting his point across. Very relaxed in this setting today, as was Gus Bradley. Right now, Gus Bradley is dealing with Jacksonville media, which is probably not as pressing as any of them. I imagine Arizona and Jacksonville are two of the more relaxed media markets out there, but that's not necessarily important, right? Daboll and Bradley both handled their shit just fine. Dre Day on YouTube says, Buck, you kind of went straight for the kill when asking your question. Straight for the kill? I don't think I just asked him, what even was my question? What factors went into taking this job, given that he was interviewing for head coaching jobs? I didn't think that wasn't like a tough question or anything like that. I just, happened to be there waiting and ready to ask the first question when he was done delivering his introductory statement, as you will hear both of those things here in just a second. No, I wasn't going for the kill or anything like that. I just happened to be the first one to ask the first question of both of them. Because as Farcenter points out, was Teresa at the conference? No, Teresa was not at the press conference. Obviously, if she was, I would have deferred to Teresa Walker of the Associated Press. But share the broadcast around. Once you've done that, we'll go ahead and get it started. As you guys trickle in here, more of you will pop up. Text the link to a friend if you want. and like the video as you sit here, and I'll go ahead and get us rolling. Welcome to A to Z Sports Prime Time from the T-Dot Studios, where the Tennessee Department of Transportation does, of course, remind you to be a part of the solution to end littering at NobodyTrashesTN.com by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. It's Truck Month, baby. Truck Month is back, and Two Rivers Ford has great deals on all of their best-selling Ford trucks in Mount Juliet. TwoRiversFord.com for more information. Simon Says Nashville, the premier men's clothing spot in Nashville, is where you go. SimonSaysNashville.com for more details for you to dress for success. MB says, Buck, he was making the point that you didn't give your name, not your actual question. Oh, yeah. I don't know why they're having us do that now. I mean, I don't know. Maybe now Daboll went and repeated our names back to us. But yeah, like they did this shit with Saleh at his introductory press conference where they made us all, raise our hand and ask for a microphone, which is a total pain in the ass. Normally we're used to elbowing each other out of the way and jumping over one another to ask our question. Maybe it's a little more chaotic for the people fielding the questions, but it's a way more efficient way for us to get a press conference. I'm not trying to sit and wait and raise my hand, all this dumb shit. But yes, I did forget to mention, I did forget to introduce myself in the press conference before asking my question, which they did ask us to do today. I don't care about all that. We're gonna spend, I don't know how long Daboll and Bradley are gonna be here. We're gonna spend a lot more time than that press conference together. So I'm sure at some point we'll get to know each other on a first name basis. But we got it done today anyway. So with that being said, Brian Daboll, Gus Bradley, or Gus Bradley, Brian Daboll, is the way that the press conferences went, and neither of them, again, leaning on their head coach press conference experience, neither of them went into a great amount of detail on anything. Most of the theme of both press conferences, before we talk about individual questions that were asked about Cam Ward, and were asked about Jeffrey Simmons, and were asked about Devondre Sweat and all that kind of stuff, was the larger theme of, hey, this place and the people who are working here are the reason why I took that job. For Bradley, he's got a long history with Robert Saleh. Daboll also has a history with Saleh, though they never worked on the same staff together. They were obviously both coaches in New York at the same time. I'm sure they spent a lot of time at similar functions and all these different things. Awaken to the Eternal, which is always a funny name, says a lot of coach speak introduction today. Yeah, I mean, that's what it was always going to be. They're not going to talk to us specifically about players. They're not going to comment on pending free agents. They're not going to, get into schematic specifics. These are two people who have been told in their head coaching, previous stops, you don't have to disclose all the information, right? You're going to have a different experience. This is going to be closer to, maybe it won't be as gruff and rough as Vrabel was, but your press conferences, if you're consuming them as a fan, and for us as media, going to be a lot more like Vrabel than it was like Callahan, where Brian Callahan felt almost, I don't want to describe it as desperate for us to desperate feels, desperate is not the right word. I'm sure there was some levels of desperation to, his job before he ultimately got fired. But Callahan always wanted to impress upon us, hey, I'm doing this because of that. And here's why we're doing this the way that we're doing things. He was always very thorough in explaining to us what his situation was, whether that was in the press conference setting that was viewed publicly or when you would deal with him privately. Brian Callahan, one of the things that I did enjoy about him is that he was willing to help you learn about what it is that they're trying to do. Now, does that help you win football games? Probably not, because you've got other responsibilities than trying to teach media more about what you're trying to accomplish as a football team. But Daboll and Bradley are not going to do that. I mean, maybe at least not in the public press conference settings, right? They're not going to give us more information than absolutely necessary, though both of them have a good bedside manner. Bradley described himself today as somebody whose personality is basically always 85 and sunny, and that he's honest with players and that he holds people accountable, but that both of them seem more good-natured than not, right? So that's kind of where they're at in their respective press conferences. MB says, I think they're making a point to have the media and the coaches have more of a relationship. Yeah, PR is really trying, and this is inside baseball stuff, and we'll talk about Daboll and Bradley here in just a second. Well, let me ask you your Two Rivers Ford take while I'm giving you a little bit of inside baseball stuff on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. What was your biggest takeaway from either press conference today? Daboll, Bradley, what was your biggest takeaway for those of you who watched it or maybe listened to it after the fact? Maybe some of you saw social media clips as opposed to viewing the whole thing on YouTube. What was your biggest takeaway from either of them? You could say one for one or the other. You could say one for both, as you like. Your Two Rivers Ford take is always presented by the South's most trusted Ford dealer. That's, of course, Two Rivers Ford. Quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service is what is on offer. And Truck Month is on offer. So many great F-150s, Rangers, all manner of great Ford vehicles. America's best-selling truck is the Ford F-150. Has been for many, many years. Two Rivers Ford has them in spades, and they're always going to make the car buying process fast, easy, and more fun, and find you the vehicle that makes the most sense for your budget and for your needs. They're not going to upcharge you and try and sell you a car that you don't need. Two Rivers Ford does business the right way in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. So what was your biggest takeaway from either or both of the respective Titans coordinators that did speak to the media for the first time today? So as we look at some of this stuff, so inside baseball, to go back to the earlier point about trying to get the media and the coaches to know each other better. Before last season, they fired their PR director of 28 years, Robbie Boren, who is not just somebody who I enjoyed working with for my first 8 seasons. Last year was my 9th. This will be my 10th. So my first 8 years, and for basically every year since the franchise was in existence, Robbie Boren was the head of PR. Robbie Boren is somebody who I greatly respect professionally and personally. I consider him a close friend. I still keep in touch with Robbie. Robbie, in fact, anything smart that I say on the radio show, assume that Robbie Boren is feeding it to me. No, I'm kidding. Well, not really, because it's not like I say that many intelligent things. But Robbie is very helpful has always been helpful when I first started the show, when I first started out, because I've never had a job. It's funny to say that I'm 32 and I've never had another job in sports media other than covering an NFL team, which not many people can say. And I've been very fortunate just in terms of the time and the people that allowed me that opportunity for this to be the first for this to be my first job. But Robbie was running the show for 28 years, and they moved on from Robbie Boren, which made me sad. And I didn't think it was the right decision, even though I like Everett Gearlings, who is now their new head of PR on the football side. I have other thoughts on other things that are being done as far as Titans corporate business, but that's not really a conversation for us. You guys don't give a shit about that. So now they're trying a lot more stuff with us, and I don't know if that's like to try and get us to be gentler on them than we have been, because we have been, collectively very tough on the Titans for how badly they've done a lot of these things. And I think, rightfully so is their right. It would be good PR to, invite us to a luncheon, select media to a luncheon with Saleh before his introductory press conference, just so he kind of knows, also for him, so he knows us a little bit before we sit up there and ask him, hey, you got fired in New York. Why did you do all these things wrong? Why did you trade away Sam Darnold for the right to draft Zach Wilson? Why did you, not hold Aaron Rodgers accountable enough during your time as the coach of the Jets? Like, before we start, like, the grilling, really, it's a smart play on both sides for us to have more of a relationship. It sounds like they're going to continue to try stuff like that with us, and that's fine. I'm not against it. I appreciate that it's additional opportunities for us to get to know these people, and I do think ultimately that makes for a more beneficial working relationship. But it's these kind of things are new. They're new to us. This is not something that's been common for us the last couple of years, or really at any point. We didn't do things like this, like, pre-press conferences, lunches, and, happy hours with the coaching staff and stuff like that. It's definitely a different vibe And again, I think they are trying to gain more favorable coverage by giving us stuff that is beneficial to us, which I do appreciate. But, at the end of the day, there's still going to be a level of critical commentary that comes, when it is deserved, right? I don't think that, me or Tehran or PK or Nick Suss or any of the other people that cover the team every day and travel with the team for all these events, combine, owners meetings, games, and stuff like that. I don't think that that is going to impact the way that we are critical when criticism is required. But it is interesting to see some of the, you always have a little bit of skepticism in the back of your head, like, why are you being nice to me? Why are you giving media free food today? What do you want from us? So anyway, I think that's all well and good. But to the actual press conferences that we had today, we don't have to get too much into the behind the scenes stuff at this point. Kong says, Buck, good to see you. How are you doing today? And what can we expect from Buck Rising when it comes to the combine? You want me to talk in third person? Why don't you let me address the combine thing? Circle back on that before the end of the broadcast tonight, because I want to make sure that we get to all this. And we do have a bunch of fun shit planned at the combine. Robert, Lucas, Kirby, me, we're taking the whole show up to Indy, and we're going to have, I'm not sure our full lineup. Well, I'm not going to announce that yet. We're just going to kind of keep you guys updated on a day-by-day basis, but we do have a lot of fun guests. Lot of fun guests to provide for you at the combine. So we'll look forward to that. Anthony Michael says, remember a few years ago when hundreds watched these shows, Titans had murdered A to Z's Nashville. Fortunately, they went national just in time. It's funny because it depends on what the topic is. And that's always the case. Like off season is what it is. Obviously the football team being ass doesn't help things. The radio show ratings are outrageous. And maybe that's just because I'm dogging them all the time. It's a little different on the YouTube channel when it's just me bitching by myself. When we're talking about, 3-14 in the middle of week 15 or something like that. I do get that. But yeah, I mean, we got 100 people watching tonight live. That's fine. And a couple more 100 people will see this after the fact. As the football team goes, the primetime show typically does better. And I think that in these particular situations, it's been 4 years, right? So yeah, they've kind of taken a jackhammer to any interest in their actual football team, and maybe this thing will start to resurge. So we'll see. We'll pay attention, and if they actually accomplish what they want to accomplish, that'll only benefit us, right? We'll have more compelling stuff to talk about. Anyway, all right, press conferences. So what was your biggest takeaway from the press conferences today? Robert, if you'll look at me, I can't put that up on the screen because I don't want to, I think that's a little untoward, but the comment from Major Keys made me laugh. Who am I to say? I can neither confirm nor deny. But as we, Robert also has a beard, but it's a little more Joe Dirt than mine is, I would say. It's a little more, it kind of grows in all white trash like that. Anyway, so biggest takeaway from the press conference today. Brian Daboll really, really likes Cam Ward.
Forward to being here. So it's been a quick 3 weeks, since we've got here. We've done a lot of things, starting with hiring the coaching staff. Feel very good about the guys we brought offensively, some of which were with me, some of which were here already with the Titans, and then a couple other pieces that have been on some other teams. We met with Borgo and his staff and went kind of through the evaluation processes of some of the things that we're looking for, position specific, not to get too deep into the weeds with scheme. So those have been productive. We've met, all morning, every day with the offensive coaches. And when you're installing a new system, the biggest thing is to make sure that we're communicating the same way and understanding the language that we're going to use. That's been productive. We watched a lot of tape on installations of runs, on passes, on RPOs, on move the pockets. But again, we're a little bit far away from the scheme conversation. It's just the communication aspect of it. How do we call a double team? What's the quarterback signals look like? So those have been productive. And then in the afternoon, we spent a lot of time on free agents and getting accustomed to what's going out there in the market that will be available here shortly. So it's been a good 3 weeks. It's been a lot of work. Got to meet a lot of great people in the building here, from the video department, equipment, trainers, A lot of good people here in this building. PR, I don't want to leave those guys out. PR guys are outstanding. So it's been a good 3 weeks. Been a lot of work. That's good. We're staying right next to the facility for right now, so not a lot of drive time. And look forward to being here. Grateful to Coach Sala, to Mike for giving me the opportunity, and look forward to working with you guys.
What kind of went into your decision-making process?
Well, you want to get the first one out.
Say your name and
Okay.
Buck Rising, 104.5.
Buck, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Coach. What kind of went into your decision-making process on this specifically, given that you were pretty in demand this offseason?
Yeah, I'd just say it felt like the right fit with the right people. Obviously have a relationship with Robert dating back to the New York days, but his vision of what he wants to do and how he wants to do it, Mike and the vision that he has, and then ultimately Cam was a big factor. Have a lot of confidence in this young man. I'm sure I'll get asked about the pre-draft process last year, which was about this time. Had a lot of touch points with him, meetings, 30 visits, going down to Miami, dinner with him and his family. So there was a good relationship built up leading up to the draft. So I look forward to working with him. I know he's in the building rehabbing. April can't come soon enough to get going on the offensive installation part of it. But have a lot of confidence in how he played, both at Miami, Washington State. And then he had a whole year under his belt playing in the National Football League and getting accustomed to the speed of the game and the timing. And that's not an easy thing for quarterbacks. So I just felt like the right fit, Buck, and look forward to being here.
So that's Brian Daboll speaking about Cam Ward today, and specifically the people, and also referencing the coaching staff and kind of some introductory comments before he got into the Cam part of it. A to Z Sports Primetime is made possible by the Tennessee Department of Transportation, who, of course, reminds you that nobody trashes Tennessee. Be a part of the solution to end littering. Visit them online at nobodytrashestn.com. Okay, so I think that there are a couple of different things to take away from both of these men's press conferences. But the Daboll thing, the belief in Cam, is real. He mentioned, going on the visits and having dinner with him and his family and flying to Miami, and like they were fully prepared in New York. Should the Titans have accepted the trade for the number 1 overall pick last year, they were fully prepared in New York to draft Cam Ward if the Titans ended up taking the deal. Now, obviously, they didn't. New York would end up drafting Jackson Dart. I believe Jackson Dart was the 25th overall pick in last year's draft, and ultimately the Giants and Daboll got fired later in the season than Callahan did. Callahan made it 6 games. I think Daboll made it to like mid-November. So about a month later than Callahan was fired. But you understand, it's funny that the two of them, by the way, switched quarterbacks because Brian Callahan is the quarterbacks coach in New York for Jackson Dart. So a little bit of full circle moment there. Daboll really likes Cam Ward, was greenlit the trade up to number 1 overall last year. They didn't get it done. They take Dart. Titans take Cam. And now Daboll has the opportunity to maximize Cam, and that's what it's going to be about. Now, wouldn't address things specific to Cam like footwork and mechanics. Didn't want to get into anything schematic today. Really didn't want to talk too much about other players on the roster. I saw some aggregation about the Calvin Ridley quote, which I thought was stupid, from a couple of these fan blog accounts, and that's fine. Like I'm not like down on fan blog accounts, unless they do dumb shit, right? Like, and not that I don't do dumb shit, but because I do dumb shit, I'm also able to recognize when other people do dumb shit. Like today, I saw the aggregation. He was asked about Calvin Ridley because the two of them spent time together at Alabama in 2017. And Daboll mentioned, I'm not going to comment specifically on players who are or may not be on the roster one way or the other. I know we got some free agents, all these different things. I'm not going to comment on personnel, but enjoyed my time with Calvin. Know he's a really good, really hard worker. He's had a good NFL career. Looking forward to working with him. And there were all these aggregations from these blog boy accounts about on social media, like, well, guess Calvin Ridley's staying for sure. No, nobody determined that. In fact, he very much prefaced it on the front end by saying, I'm not going to comment one way or the other on personnel decisions. But as long as Calvin Ridley is still under contract here, and he clearly had a good experience with Calvin Ridley, so it's fine to say, I'm looking forward to working with him. He didn't say if Calvin Ridley's here, or I don't expect Calvin Ridley to be here, all these different things. it's just just pay attention to the press conferences is what I would say, and the actual words that are being produced from these people's mouths as opposed to just reading some bullshit that some blog boy put on Twitter. Anyway, so speaking as a blog boy myself, I from the Bradley standpoint, it was a lot of commentary on the assistants, like the feedback that him and Saleh are going to have for one another, how it worked last year in San Francisco, hiring Robert Saleh, I believe, in Seattle when Gus Bradley was the defensive coach there. I think that's what he said. They crossed paths either in Jacksonville or Seattle. They may have had some overlap in both. I'd have to go back and look through their resumes, but Gus Bradley did hire Robert Saleh at an early phase of his career and then ended up working with him again last season. And it sounded like the feedback between the two of them was very good. Gus Bradley acknowledged, hey, he's not going to take every bit of advice that I give him, nor should he. We're just there to kind of challenge each other and challenge the way that the other one thinks. And also, as I can assist in the game plan and the schematics and tactics of the game plan and how much I'm going to actually be doing on game day if I'm not calling the plays, that's fine. I can just give him an extra set of eyes and all these different things. So I thought that Gus Bradley was more in a advisory role, and Brian Daboll's kind of running the show on that side of the ball. I mean, the way, both of them, again, deliver like head coaches because they were, but Daboll was talking about like hiring a staff and meeting with Mike Borgonzi, and he made sure to be clear about, I'm not the head coach, I'm the offensive coordinator. But the way that it presented was, oh, okay, this guy's got his own thing, basically, on this side of the ball. Obviously, still answering to Robert Saleh, but they are going to let him run the show on that side of the ball. And Hurst says, can you imagine Nick Holtz doing that with Callahan? Listen, Nick's not a bad guy, and I don't think Nick's a dope or anything like that. I just think that he's what a lot of you how do I just describe Nick Holtz as an experience? I think that he has qualifications to provide good feedback and be a good assistant on an NFL coaching staff. I do think Nick Holtz is capable that way. I also think that Nick Holtz got an opportunity because his buddy got the head coaching job in Tennessee, and that's fine. That's the way a lot of people get opportunities. And for Nick Holtz, it just didn't work as well. He wasn't he wasn't ready for the job that he probably had, or the title that he probably had. And I haven't seen him land anywhere else in the NFL. If he ends up on the Giants staff with Brian Callahan, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, Brian Daboll is obviously in a different class of coach than somebody like Nick Holtz, who really, I mean, he had NFL experience before arriving in Tennessee, but this was really that was as much responsibility as Nick Holtz had in any previous position in the NFL, specifically with the Raiders, where they were last together at any point in his NFL career. We're going to hear from Gus Bradley as well. The question, I believe this is a question about T'Vondre Sweat and his scheme fit in the Titans' new look defense. We'll get to that here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by the fine folks at Simon Says Nashville, who will dress you to impress. And the best part is they make the shopping part so easy. I hate shopping. I like buying things. I don't like shopping, especially when it comes to clothes. I second guess myself all the time. I think I'm going to wear something that ultimately sits in my closet for months and months and sometimes years without me actually wearing it. The people at Simon Says are so good in identifying, all right, are you actually going to wear this? You're hemming and hawing. Are you just wearing it, or are you prepared to buy it? Because I'll do this a lot. They gave me a pair of corduroy pants the last time I was in there. And I was like, yeah, okay, I can mess with the corduroy pants. And she immediately identified that I wasn't actually digging the corduroy pants, or that she didn't think I'd actually wear them. She's like, no, I'm taking them back. She wouldn't let me buy them, okay? What kind of business doesn't let you buy something that you're prepared to buy just because somebody told you to? Now, I'm a bit of a sheep when it comes to shopping. You may have better fashion sense than I do, but I know that I need a lot of help. And when I go into Simon Says Nashville, they dress me for success, and they make the process so easy, and they do it at a great price. SimonSaysNashville.com for more details. Robert says he doesn't think this is the Sweat one. Hold on. Okay, that's my mistake. I don't Okay, so this is why Gus Bradley took the defensive coordinator job. Thank you, Robert, for that correction. He was also asked about Sweat, Gus Bradley was, and he, again, very head coach-esque, made it general and said, we look at this as a fresh start for every player on the roster, including Devondre Sweat. Didn't get into specifics, didn't get into scheme fit, didn't get into work ethic or anything like that. Just said, fresh start across the board. We're looking forward to evaluating all these guys, in so many words. So Gus Bradley also on why he took the job here in Tennessee.
I know that relationships are important. I mean, Robert Sala and I have known each other for many years, had a chance to work with him last year. And it was a great experience. And I think we have a lot of the same philosophies, although we're different. And I think that mixture kind of has that proper tension. And, we had a chance to kind of tear apart the defense last year, look at things we didn't want to do and what we did want to do based on our experience at different places, and then just kind of incorporate it there. And just to keep that part of it going, I think was very intriguing to me.
Terry,
so that is Gus Bradley, the new Titans defensive coordinator, on why he took the job here in Tennessee. So a lot of connections to Saleh that are beneficial so far, and Titans fans I know are excited to see those pay dividends in as many ways as humanly possible. I think that there are there's a lot of optimism about this Titans coaching staff, and understandably so. We'll see how they pay off that optimism, but in the early onset, you like the baseline that they're starting with. I'm not. You guys know that I'm not here to sunshine pump, and that I've definitely got ahead of myself before. As I think it's a common experience, especially when you hear things that you like and then they don't ultimately pay out. There's plenty of things that I heard from Brian Callahan and Denard Wilson and Nick Holtz that I liked, but just never came to fruition. So as I'm sitting here listening to those guys talk, I'm like, yeah, I get it. I'm on board. I'm understanding the path that you're going to take, but I'd like to see you do it. I'd like to see you do it. So we'll see if they're capable. And I don't blame Titans fans at all for being like, no, they're going to do it. They're absolutely going to do it. It's the best coaching staff the Titans have had in years, which is true. Absolutely. It's probably the best coaching staff the Titans have had since 2018. Vrabel, LaFleur, Dean Pease. It was a pretty good conversation, or pretty good trio of head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. But they didn't have that great of success. They did not make the playoffs in Vrabel's first year, and I don't think that the Titans are going to make the playoffs in 2026 either. But doesn't mean that they can't make meaningful progress and set Cam Ward ultimately up for success, which is what everybody in the organization should be doing. All right. So that's what we've got tonight. A little bit of rising and falling. Stock up. Team USA beat the Finns, the Finnish team. Was it the Finns or the Swedes? I believe it was the Finns today, because I think Forsberg Finnish? I should know that. They beat somebody today. They beat one of these European, Finland, Sweden, Norway, whatever. I think it was the Finns today that Team USA beat. It was an electric game. I had it on the background while I was working on some stuff after the press conference. So well done by Team USA. I don't really have a stock down right now. Oh, stock down, rising or rising and falling, right? Stock up, rising, stock down, falling. Falling, did I see anything that was particularly offensive? Oh, Tony Clark, the MLB PA union leader who cheated on his wife with his sister-in-law. That was an interesting story that we started the radio show with today. Also Mick Cronin, Robert points out to me. Mick Cronin, stock down, just an angry little bald man. Maybe he fit right in on your coaching staff. Little bald guy. I saw somebody tweet under the Mick Cronin press conference that went viral over the last 24 hours. 5-3 with an attitude. Mick Cronin. Yeah, that's basically it. MB says stock down. Mark Cuban. Yeah, I saw Mark Cuban was supportive of tanking. So I'm not really for that. I don't love that. I don't love tanking anywhere in any way, shape, or form. But I get why I get Cuban's argument, even if I disagree with it. Also, dumb people like this. Who, by the way, I don't think Eric's dumb, but I think this is a dumb comment. Michael Jordan's stock is falling for what he did to the child. He didn't do anything to the child. He was helping the child get ice out of his pants because somebody dumped a drink or a Gatorade cooler on the child's father, Tyler Reddick, at the Daytona 500, and Michael Jordan is helping, he's trying to rattle the back of the shirt and rattle the back of the pants to help the kid get the ice out of his shirt and his pants. And a bunch of you, because everybody's obsessed with the Epstein stuff, is like, oh, Michael Jordan, pervert. He's touching the child's pants in front of hundreds of cameras. Yes, Michael Jordan is going to sexually assault a child in front of hundreds of cameras on the stage at the Daytona 500 Victory Circle. Morons. Absolute moron behavior. So, you're not a moron, but you're behaving like one. That's a dumbass comment. Anyway, that's going to do it for us tonight. Hang out with us on the radio show tomorrow from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. We'll look forward to seeing you there.
He's a hoe, and I want that known. Like, I see why he got punched in the